Hey everybody, it's G-Force41 here with another PGA Tour 2K23 course design tutorial video. I haven't done one of these in a while. I've been doing quick tips, course playthroughs, is it casuals worthy, and I haven't done an actual, tutorial on course design in a bit. And those are some of my most popular videos, and I wanted to continue them for you. I've been saying for some time I needed to get to lighting because I keep seeing the same issues with lighting over and over again. So this is how to make your lighting look natural. Okay, I've done a number of how to make your X look natural videos, how to make your greens look natural, how to make your planting look natural, and this is the one on lighting. Now, lighting's been covered many times before by many designers far superior to me over the years, but there are various versions of this game, and those tutorials are kind of old at this point. Not that the points in those videos are not pertinent. The game continues to grow, but it's the same engine that's driving this designer, the course designer, and I haven't seen one in a while. So what I want to get through to you is some basics on lighting. And so where are we? We're at my Grashmore, which is my Modern Links course based on the Renaissance Club in Scotland. And the reason I'm here is this is one of my more interesting lighting techniques that I've used because I'm not relying on just the low lighting. Okay, so when it comes to lighting, there's various things you can do. And I see a lot of people, A, don't pay any attention to the lighting, or B, they go for that really low lighting and it's too low. This is a Scottish links course. If you don't know, the Renaissance Club is on the shore by Muirfield and a bunch of famous courses. And I wanted that kind of Scottish links feel. So you can see here what I've done. I have what's called neutral lighting, and we'll talk about that, with some cloud cover and some fog and a little bit of haze. Right, so I think this is probably my best lighting because I rely on the low lighting a lot and afternoon light. But this really gave you a feel of being in that environment. The shoreline came out really good. I got a lot of compliments on it, so thank you, folks. But my point is to point this out to you to help you understand that you need to use your lighting in a way that's going to help you build the environment that you want for your course. That adds to what people call the immersion. We've talked about that before. And in here, I think I captured it. So I wanted to start here to point out to you, you don't always have to use that low light. And you don't have to, always worry about the trees and the shadows and things like that. But we'll get to that. So point by point. But this is just the introduction. We're going to talk about the basic light settings. We'll look at how the low light helps you, and then we'll look at other designers and how they utilize the light to make their courses look absolutely spectacular. Okay, good deal. All right, so we're gonna get going, but before I continue, please do like and subscribe if you haven't, and it really helps me. And we love having you, and I love having your comments. So please do comment below, and let's get going on the tutorial. All right, let's go over some basic settings. We are here at Commonwealth Country Club, otherwise known as Newton Commonwealth Country Club, my historical recreation for which I have released a beta. It is out there, and I'm going to touch up the course now based on some feedback, some playthroughs that I've seen. But let's look at my lighting. My traditional lower lighting, I tend to go in the afternoon. You'll see this is 1622, which is a little after 4 o'clock. Orientation is 79.2, and my inclination is it's 47. That's not super low. And you'll see why in a moment, okay? But just if you're a very beginner, obviously the time of day will revolve the sun up in the sky and around the course a little bit, right? So obviously as the Earth is rotating, we're going backwards here, but let's just scan back. Take a look at the low lighting in the morning. Now the low lighting in the morning is a little different. It does give you a little bit different look if you ask me. Some people prefer that. I've only done like one course with the morning lighting. I think that's Cuyahoga. I prefer the afternoon, but again, that's just preference. So check out the shadows, right? You can see how the, I'll just focus on the shadows for you for a second. Just I want you to see how it affects the course, not so much the sun rotating in the sky. So the sun will be rotating in the sky. You can see the shadows moving across the green. Okay, and now they're getting a little longer, right? As the day is going on, you're getting some longer shadows, which is what you'd see on the course, right? When you're playing late in the afternoon, sometimes you forget when your friend's putting, your shadows going across their line because it's late in the afternoon, right? So I think everybody's had that happen. So the same happens with the trees, okay? So you got to be careful of that. The second thing to take a look at is your orientation. Now that moves the sun's orientation around, right? The perimeter of the course. It's not going to change the inclination of the time of day, but you can see how the shadows are rotating here. The sun is moving up in the sky. I have it off frame here. The point is this is how you decide, where your sun is going to be oriented, and which holes are going to be downlight and uplight, right? So you could change that as well to get the look you're going for. I think it was at 79 too. And decide which holes are in the favorable light versus which are downlight and the not so good light. So what I mean, if you're real new to this, take a look at the shadows here. Right in front of me, there's kind of a bunkerless bunker in front of this first green where the shadow kind of gives a nice definition, as well as those bunkers up on that is the 13th green behind the first green. And a little bit into these, you can see these bunkers here as well, okay? So you get that definition and that shadow, and you really get a great look at the smoothness of the contours in this kind of favorable light when the sun's a little bit behind you. Now again, keep in mind some folks do not like that light, the sun directly in their face when they're hitting, so you don't want to have a hole or too many holes with the sun directly in your face. So this is kind of angled. So notice what I've done here. The angle is off to the side there. There really isn't anything hitting directly into the sun. A little bit on some of these holes coming back 4 and 8 and 9, I should say. But I have it just kind of angled off to the side of the course, okay? Now, you're going to get the holes that are kind of down light, right? And you can see it's a little stark, it's a little bright, and a little, people call it washed out sometimes. So those bunkers don't look great from here. You'll notice that on the 6th hole, because teeing off the 6th hole, those are in your view, okay? A lot of people go for this low light to make it look good, and they go with a very low inclination and a very later time or very early time of day. And if you do that, look what happens to these shadows and these trees, okay? They get much, much longer. A lot of people go way under the 30, down into 20s and 10s. And now look what's happening. Teens. I've seen people go down here, 18, 19, and they love that golden light, this magic setting where everything just looks magical. And it looks very pretty and stuff, but you kind of can't see anything. It's a little too dark. But look what's happened to these trees and the tree line. If you have any trees on the course, you want to be very careful of any low lighting, okay? And this time of day isn't even that late. So if you go with a low inclination, and I'm just going to go to 25. Well, 25. If you go any later, look what happens, okay? It's super kind of dark, super low. And a lot of people like, you can play with these effects and make it look gorgeous. It works very well on a coastline course. But if you have any sort of trees or any sort of inland course, you're going to run into problems, okay? And it also gets a little too dark. You can't see. Why is that a problem? It'll be a problem when we play with the clouds a little bit later, all right? So be very careful of the inclination and the time of day. So we're going to move it back. 1622 and 47. Okay. And then what we're going to do is talk about the clouds. And, oh, before I do that, the default settings. The other thing you want to be careful of is when you play around, these are going to be your default settings. So there is a default setting for your lighting in your course. There's not a default setting for wind. There's a default setting for your green speeds, your fairway firmness, your green firmness, your lighting, your fog, your weather settings. But what happens is you do have an option when you're playing around, or if you're a scheduler scheduling a course, when you go to your options, you could select default, you can select dawn, morning, noon, afternoon, or dusk. Okay? Let me show you what those are. The defaults, dawn is 7 o'clock. Okay? So if I was a designer and I designed this course, and I had it at 1622, all right, this is what dawn's going to look like. It's going to be much different. The trees are going to be going different directions, okay? Now I've got shadows on that green, okay? And it's fine. If you want to, play the course in a different light, go ahead. But I'm just saying, if you're a designer, just keep in mind, this. If somebody selects a different time of day, it's drastically going to change the look of your course, especially if you have trees. 9 o'clock is in the morning. Now you're getting this kind of bit of a higher light. It's not nearly as low. It's getting much brighter. Okay, and the kind of the light's reflecting off the course a lot stronger. Okay, noon is self-explanatory, but that's very, very bright light, and the sun is as high in the sky as it can go. Okay, but that keeps the shadows to a minimum. Okay, and it keeps it quite bright. You could use that in a variety of ways. We'll see later. Afternoon, I believe, is 3 p.m. Whoops. So this would be afternoon lighting. Okay. And then dusk is 5 o'clock. But you see how dark that is, okay? Okay, so you have to keep that in mind, especially when we're talking about weather and haze and clouds, etc. So those are the basic settings. You want to come up with the setting as soon as you can early in your design, okay? Because you're going to design your holes that way. You're going to, what you're going to want to know which ones are in the favorable lighting, which aren't, where your trees are going to go. You don't want to change your lighting after you've done your course and planted all your trees. I've done that, and I switched the lighting, and now you got to do everything all over again. So a lot of the better designers come up with their lighting schemes very early on, if not the first thing they do. Okay, I played with this a little bit. I mean, what I do is I kind of go to the 16, and the orientation I'll work around, but then the inclination I've been keeping between 40 and 50 recently. I used to go way down to 20 and 25, and it's just a little too low for me. Okay, so that's the basic lighting. Let's move over now to talk about the weather settings. Okay, basic weather settings are going to change the dynamics as well. Before we talk about clouds, I want to talk about the haze and the fog settings. I throw in a little bit, depending on the course. You saw a lot of haze and fog on the introduction on Grashmore, but this, isn't really. This is a New England course. I just want a little bit of atmosphere here, so you can see the fog over in the horizon there. Not much, but it just adds a little bit of background for that kind of scene, that little mountain scene back there, because there's no mountains in Newton or Brighton, Massachusetts. So I kind of want to limit that view back there. It would be very flat, and there's buildings and things like that. That's just not in our capacity to design. So I've done that. That setting I've kept a little bit. So the haze. So basically, what it does, I'm going to bring it down to 0. Now you can see the clear sky. It basically diffuses the light. Okay, so the sun is somewhere way up in the sky, above that green. And then as I bring it up, now you see the light is being scattered and diffused a little bit, okay? And it's hitting the fog. and giving that look. Okay, if I crank it up, you're gonna see this little haze and the fog across the whole course. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of the fog. I do have those settings written down. Make sure to write your settings down if you're gonna mess around with them. Okay, there's no fog anymore. Now there's just all haze. Okay, if you go way up there, look how dark it gets. Okay, it looks like fog, right? But that haze is all around the whole course. It's more like smog. Okay, why would you ever do that? If you're doing some sort of fantasy course, you might want to do this, and give that kind of eerie look. You want to crank up the haze and the fog and play with it. Obviously, for most courses, you don't want to do this. I'm going to bring the haze all the way down. Now let's add the fog. We're going to just bring it up to 50. Fog ceiling, fog density, and then you'll see what's going on. Okay, notice the fog off in the distance between the sun and the course. If you look over here, not much fog, folks, right? Okay, so that's the difference. The haze goes around the whole course. The fog just kind of keeps between you and the sun. And what you're going to notice is the fog ceiling obviously raises it up and down. I went too fast, sorry. Okay. And then the density obviously makes it thicker. So if there it is, real thick. Now it's a little higher. See what I mean? So I'm going very quick. Again, this is PlayStation, so it's very hard for me to be subtle with the setting. Obviously, you wouldn't want to do too much of this if you're doing some kind of fantasy course, kind of a Halloween fallish kind of thing going on. You can play with this, but I wouldn't suggest stepping on the gas on this too much. Okay, so the density makes it thicker. The ceiling raises and lifts it. You just kind of want it in the distance usually. But again, you play with that. If you have some sort of pond that you want the fog coming off of, go ahead. Here, I don't want that to look too much. There's no reason for it in what I'm doing. So the reason I tell you this is, again, if you've got haze and fog and low lights, you're going to have a really dark course. So again, keep in mind your overall look and feel and the overall look when you have these settings enacted. Again, I keep this kind of to a minimum unless I do something like I did in Scotland. All right, and there you have it. The course is pretty clear. There's just a little bit of haze and fog in the distance, okay? So that's fog and haze. Okay, clouds. I'm not going to go too much into clouds here because it can get really complicated with all the options right now. You'll notice here, first cloud layer, I have 0. Okay, why am I doing the second cloud layer? 0. Height, don't worry about it because I'm not doing it. I have just the high clouds. The reason I do this is if you have just the high clouds, it does not affect the lighting. Okay, it's just up there for looks, and you can see a few high clouds off in the distance. Okay, again, thickness is going to make them bigger. Okay, they're already pretty thick, and height is just going to raise them up and down. See them going up, 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 up. Okay, so I don't really want to do anything with these clouds. I just want a little touch of clouds up there. I don't want to distract from this course at all. Given that I have trees and a little bit lower lighting, I do not have the other clouds. Why? Here's what happens. First cloud layer. Again, there's 2 layers. You can pick the type. And again, it's going to be beyond the scope of this discussion to talk about which type. Go back to your meteorology textbooks. You can learn about cumulus are the big puffies. Stratus are the kind of thin ones. But let's just go with stratus. Now watch what's going to happen. So you add cloudiness. Okay. It's getting a little darker, right? So what happens is these clouds, whoops, kind of hard to see here. Again, on PlayStation, it's not as easy to do this for you. They're getting pretty thick. The course gets a little dark. So as you play with these, you're going to get periods of light and dark as the clouds move, because they move. Do you want that? Maybe, maybe not. I don't. So I just I've tended to get rid of them. If you really have a course where you want that cloud cover, then go for it. Um, you can now have an option also for rain clouds. Okay, makes them a little darker and a little more ominous. That tree's in the way a little. So it's up to you. The size, obviously, you can change the size. You can change the offset, and then you can have a second layer as well. And so, again, you can, with all these different types of clouds and all these options, you could really set the sky to your liking. That's great if you're doing a certain type of course. In most courses, especially if you want that lower lighting, you want to be very careful including any of these first and second layer clouds. I don't. A lot of people are going with just the high clouds. You certainly can, but just be cognizant that it's going to affect the lighting of your course and the darkness of it. So if you want it really cloudy, all right, I'm going to suggest you use, let's just do a first cloud layer. Cloudiness is 85. Let's just be realistic. Sharpness. Okay. We'll go with cumulus. See what happens? See how dark that gets? Okay. So stratus isn't as bad. A little nicer. So you can have some cloud cover and more light with stratus. Alto cumulus. Cumulus, really kind of dark because they're big puffy. Look, they're big puffy clouds. Okay, so those, if you want ominous rain clouds, that's probably what you want, the big puffy ones, not the stratus. Not good, right? So if you're going to do the cloudy look, you've got to go back and adjust your lighting. You don't want 16:22 or early in the morning. You want to be closer to noon. Okay? So now look what happens. Oops, sorry. Now you can have those clouds and it's bright. So you've got to adjust those settings accordingly. So for Grashmore, I had the clouds, I had the fog, I had the haze. It's set somewhere around 1300 hours. Okay, I forget exactly what. And you want that inclination much higher. You want it to be 50 and 60. You'll see in some courses that's how you get that bright look that makes your colors pop. That's what I believe Arctic Fury does. You are going to go to visit one of his courses later in the video, okay? So the points I want to get across to you are simply think about what the look and feel of your course is going to be. Think about the type of course that you have and what's on your course. Stands, tournament objects, trees, those all can get away in the green of your tee shot, your tee box. That's fine if you have some shadows there. Some people don't like the shadows on the greens, etc. And your course is going to be dark if the more you use clouds, the more you use fog, the more you use haze. Okay, and again, if you set the course at noon and do that, it might be light enough. If you don't, it might be pretty dark. And then if people change those settings and they go to dawn or dusk, it's going to be super dark. You would hope a scheduler would want to do it. It impacts the variability and the usability of your course. Most people tend to default to what the designer defaults as their lighting because they understand that a lot of designers work really hard on their lighting to get the right look and feel. But, just don't forget that anything you do is going to impact the overall look and feel and playability of others. Okay? It's as simple as that. All right, let's take a look at some examples of what I'm talking about. Okay, let's take a look at this beauty. This is a older course. I think it was originally a 2K21, PGA Tour 2K21 course, pulled over to PGA Tour 2K23. This is Bryn Awlon, Awelon by Skinny Post. This is a beautiful, what they call small golf course. A hidden gem. I forget exactly where it's located. I'm not sure. Somewhere it might have been UK, Wales, something like that. Look at this beautiful low lighting. So look at the shadows on just the bushes. See how low it is just from the bushes and long from the bushes? Notice there are no trees, okay? He's set this course high up in the hills. He's elevated the ground. So you can see, let me turn here, the valley below you, okay? And look at that beautiful lighting. Absolutely beautiful low lighting. But what has the designer done? There are no trees, right? So you can get away with this on a coastal links or on this beautiful hillside course that he created. So let's take a rip down the fairway, take a look up the green. So you get, the beauty of this low lighting is you get these undulations and these swells, and the definition comes out in them, right? Look at that. Now I'm looking right into it. A lot of people don't like that when you're hitting, but I just want to give you the definition and look at the, see how low that sun is, right? Really low in the sky, and look how long and low those shadows are, right? So if you had trees there, you'd have a big problem. Okay, so I'll take the sun out of it. But look how it defines those. There's no bunkers on this course, so it's a bunkerless bunker type situation. And the undulations and the fairways really pop. Okay, so this is a beautiful course, a nice little trail there. Absolutely, if I played this one, this is a gem. We should bring it back for Casuals Golf Club. Looks absolutely fabulous. The first hole is into the nice lighting. It's a bit of a cross lighting. Like I said, if you kind of go down light this way, everything kind of brightens up a little bit and gets washed out a little. If you add, now just one thing to talk about, if you add that haze and the fog a little, it does help with that washing out look of, you know, having the low bright light, okay? So just for fun, we're going to knock one in here, see if I can get it close, and then move along to some different types of lighting. And I pushed it right, just like I do in real life. Beautiful course, though. Take a look at this, folks. Look at this. This is Gothic Hills by Metatropic. Some serious low lighting, but it's what? It's Gothic Hills, okay? A little Halloween-y, right? Kind of a desolate, barren look. Limited trees, low lighting. Look how low that sun is. You can see it right there. But a very kind of bright landscape, if that makes sense. But let's see how it's dark. So you do have to be careful and very cognizant of how low you're getting with the light. So something called Gothic Hills. Okay, let me hand back a little. Look at the sky. So he's utilized the cloud layer. Those are probably some stratus clouds. Okay. There's a little bit of haze and or fog. I'm thinking that's, let's take a look. I'm looking in the sky. There's definitely some haze and a little bit of fog, a little bit of both, okay? Absolutely beautiful setting. Very calm, serene, low lighting. It's very calming. It's one of the things I like about this this game. This lighting is very calming. But you do have to be careful of it. There's some livestock there. Okay, so this is another out-of-the-way course with this beautiful low lighting. You can see there's a good shot of the sun there. And you can see how low in the sky it is. So very low inclination. Okay. And it fits the setting just beautifully. So this is very well done. This is a fabulous course. Let's see if I can make the putt when I'm not really concentrating on my golf. Nope. Okay. Let's move along. All right. Welcome to Tingle Creek by Architect Maze. Look at that. Are you kidding? Look at this. Is this gorgeous or what? Again, this is a very, another example of neutral light. Just amazing. First of all, the waterfall is amazing. But look how you've got the planting, the flowers on the right and just off to the left. And it's dark. It's a little gloomy. It's Tingle Creek, England. but there's still enough light. But this sets the scene just beautifully. You've got a Tudor style mansion down there on the right. Look at the bridge just off to the left of the mansion. Just absolutely amazing planting. But we're talking about lighting. So look at the clouds. There's cloud cover. Okay, there's definitely fog. Okay, and there's probably some haze as well. But you could not get away with a low inclination on a course like this. Okay, so there's definitely fog, right? Because you can see the fog all around the course. Sorry about that. There's some haze, etc. Okay, and there's plenty of clouds. Okay, but there is enough light that you can see. So you got to be very careful when you're doing this to make sure the course is playable and well lit. Now, if anybody messes around with these settings, you're going to have trouble. That's not saying not to do them, because this course is amazing. But if someone was to play this off the default settings at, say, dawn or dusk or whatever, you're going to have an issue. That was a terrible shot. But this is just tremendous. And it really... Now, the good news about the neutral lighting is it offsets that kind of good lighting, bad lighting thing. So the bunkers are going to look the same, and the course is going to look the same, whichever way you go. So you don't have to worry about holes that are in the good light, holes that are in the bad light. You're just going to have holes, okay? Okay? And it's going to look the same everywhere you go. So that's the advantage of this type of light. The disadvantage is you don't have that wow factor like you saw on the low lit courses. It's their choice, right? This fits perfectly with this environment and this setting. And look at that mansion right behind the hole. Perfect stuff, okay? Beautiful course. Super well done. Go play it if you haven't. Okay, let's look at one more by some guy named Arctic Fury. I think he's pretty good. Let's see. All right, our next stop is Broken Locket by the amazing Arctic Fury. And I came here to show you an example of bright lighting, middle of the day lighting that, plenty of sun and not the low lighting. Okay, you don't always need it. As I said, it depends on what you're going for. Arctic Fury always has bright courses with brilliant pops of color all around, and this is no exception. Now look at the lighting here. It's absolutely making the bright textures stand out and pop. It's bright, but it's not crazy washed out. You've got some trees and some shadows just glancing off the green, and you've got the light making those colors in the background pop. Absolutely beautiful scene right here. I mean, is this a pretty hole or what? I mean, it doesn't get much prettier than that. And then look off to the side. You've got a nice hillside, beautifully sculpted, beautifully planted. You've got the traditional insects buzzing around. He throws those in all the time. And what you'll notice is the tree shadows are not very long, right? And so how does he accomplish this? The sun is high in the sky, okay, and it's not... it's probably around midday. So you can see those shadows are not super long on the trees. Okay? They're decent because it's a big tree. And I'm trying to keep this in a good spot for you. But what you're looking at is probably a time of day close to noon and an inclination that's fairly high. I don't know how he does it, but it's probably at least 50 or 60. And that's my guess. I don't know at all. But it's not down in the 20s like a lot of you use with that low light, etc. But, you've got a shadow here. It's not too dark. So you're hitting out of the shadows into the bright light, and the colors behind the green are just sticking out beautifully. Look at the sky. There's no clouds per se. My guess is he uses a little bit of haze and some high clouds. There's none of those low clouds, no puffy clouds, because you do want to obscure the sunlight a little bit if you're close to noon, but you don't want it to get too dark. So his technique is marvelous. You will see this lighting on most of his courses, and it's absolutely astounding. So he does an amazing job, as most of you know. But this is a great example of how you can make your course look beautiful without going to that low light. All right, let's move on. All right, so let's wrap this up, folks. Thanks so much for joining us and joining me in this how to make your lighting look natural tutorial video. And in conclusion, we are jumping to Nasada Pines by Mayday. Mayday Golf, one of my favorite designers, certainly one of the best. And I've come here to conclude this to show you you can have a tree line course with low lighting. You just have to do it right. And this is a masterpiece in lighting in trees by Mayday. One of my favorite courses of all time. This might go back to TGC 19, to be honest with you. But I still love it. I still play it and feature it in the casuals. Look at this. The course starts down light, very low lighting to begin with. The sun is basically behind you and behind the clubhouse, so it's kind of a Carolina Pines type of course. And you can have the trees in the low lighting. You just have to be careful where the trees are and plan for it. So we're going to hit one here. So does that mean throw everything I just told you out the window? No. Use it to your advantage. Okay? That's what I'm here to do. Help you make better courses, make better designs. And hopefully this quick, very, very quick when you really think about it, tutorial is going to help you do that. So you've got very low lighting here and a lot of trees, but look how expertly he's designed the course where the tree line is behind the hole, right? So they're in the green is in the light. There's not any trees by the green. There's a nice hill that's planted nicely, and it gives you a view into the green. There's just a smidge of shadow up here on the green, and most of the green's in the light. Does that mean the whole course is like this? No, but where the trees are going into the greens, it's not distracting. It's not right over the hole. It's very well crafted and very well done. If anybody plays with this default lighting, it might mess things up, which is fine. If that's, however anybody wants to play your courses, up to them. But you have to take great care to at least have your default settings get it right. Okay? So we finished the first hole, but we're going to take a quick look at the second hole and just wrap it up. Again, you've got low lighting into the green. It's very down light, okay? But this is masterfully done, okay? So just craft your course accordingly. Use your brain, use what you know, use common sense, and use what hopefully I just taught you here to make your courses stand out, to make them pop, and to make your lighting look natural. That's all for this video. I thank you so much for joining me in all my videos. If there's something you want to see from me, drop me a comment. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to hear from you soon. We'll be back with more course reviews, quick tips, previews, you name it. Maybe even is it casuals worthy coming up soon. Thank you so much. Bye for now.